got to have these all memory aids. Thank God they make them. As the oldest of the sons-in-law, and having known Don for about 50 years, a little more than that actually, I just kind of wanted to take an opportunity to reflect upon a few things. One of which is that although Don won't physically be present with us anymore, he will always be in our hearts and our souls. And the little sayings that Brett had and all those others that we've collected over the years, those are the things that we're going to remember most about Don as we go through. I remember, must have been about 46 years ago. Actually, it was 50 years ago when I first met Sandy, and that's when I met Don. Sandy was just a little bitty thing. Didn't think about it, she still is. Never mind. 50 years ago, and we started square dancing, and then we started dating, and then I got the courage to ask Sandy to marry me, and then because we were a very traditional family at the time, I decided I needed to go and ask Don for his permission to marry his oldest daughter. And I was traditional, so I go to Don and I say, Mr. Schroeder, I would like to ask your daughter's hand in marriage. Don looked at me and he said, no, you got to take all of her or none of her. And that's pretty much the way Don was. The other thing I remember most about Don, actually not the other thing, when Sandy and I were dating, I've got a very fond memory of this, and especially sitting and watching Jeff over here. When Sandy and I were dating, as I don't know if it was a test of courage or just plain cruel and inhuman punishment, but we got to take Jeff everywhere we went. I learned a real quick phrase. People would say, oh, is that your son? I said, God, no. We had some interesting times back then. But another memory that was really called to mind, and this is a memory that all of his sons and daughters, of his grandsons and granddaughters, will share immediately, and they'll know the phrase that's associated with it as soon as I explain it. But here's where it comes from. When you look at the pictures that are going around in the TV screens and the little thing, you're going to see a picture of Don when he was about 2 years old. And he's dragging a sledgehammer. Okay? Now that was his solution to all of life's problems. If a machine was broken, a hammer could fix it. If it wasn't broken, a hammer could fix that. His ability with tools left many of us, all the sons-in-laws, fixing up after him, and it was kind of a joy. And I always wondered why Don had this incredible toolbox until I realized as an adult that it was kind of a reversal of the normal course of events. Now, I don't know how it is with everybody else, but it was so with my dad, and it was so with me, that no matter what tools we had in our toolbox, as our kids grew older, the tools started to disappear. And Dave and Tom, you can keep the crescent wrenches. I don't need them anymore. I'm replaced. But Don was reversed. He used to borrow tools from his kids. He never knew how to use them, but he borrowed the tools. And so to watch Don try to repair anything was probably the best comedy routine you could ever in your life see. And I think we'll all remember pulling a Donnie and trying to fix stuff rather than replace it. So Don will continue to live on. He will continue to live on in our hearts, in our minds, and in the expressions that we use with our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids as they grow up too. So thank you, Don, for all that you have given us, a legacy that will never, ever